I want to bring in one of last night's featured speakers, former presidential candidate, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. And good day to you, and thank you for being here this afternoon.
Well, thanks, Bill. It's great to be on. Thank you.
I've got a number of questions over the next 4.5, 5 minutes. How'd you think it went last night?
Well, I think it went really well. One of the major focuses of the night, in addition to Michelle Obama's amazing speech, was unity. And we showed our party from Senator Sanders on. I spoke from Minnesota about the need to strive for a higher ground and bring people together in this country, reminding people of our national model, e pluribus unum, and the whole focus on out of many one. We also heard from 4 Republicans, including the former governor of Ohio and a presidential candidate, John Kasich. And that was an amazing moment. He said he is still a Republican, but he puts his country first. So our entire focus was on bringing people together in this country, because whether you supported the president before, and I know some of your viewers have, you know that he's been divisive. And I think one of the things that Joe Biden can do, which is so uniquely Joe Biden, is to bring our country together.
Okay, I guess my question was more going to the virtual experience and what that was all about. I was taking note from 4 years ago. You had 26 million people tune in on night 1 in 2016. Last night, it looks like it came in around 19 or 20 million for day 1. Was it perhaps a mistake to go virtual and really lose a little bit of the energy in the room?
No, I think it's day 1, and I think you're going to see a crowd building. And I think much of the Republican convention will also be virtual. It's not going to be a big rally or anything like that. The president changed his mind on that. So I don't think that's a surprise. I think that what you've seen at our convention was people from all over the country, including a woman from Arizona talking about how her dad had tragically died from COVID and saying that the pre-existing condition was that she trusted the president to handle this crisis, and it didn't happen. So you see regular people, teachers, and that you can't get that at a convention. Not everyone's going to fly in.
The other amazing thing about a virtual, is that the viewership seems to be off about 20%. Let's see what happens tonight. It seemed thematically to be painting a rather grim picture of America. Where was the optimism for voters in this message?
Well, I hope I had optimism, Bill. I had some fun out there. I talked about the fact that we can come together as a nation and cross the river of our divides, and that's what Joe Biden has done his whole life. There's a lot of talk about his scrappy background. You're going to hear more about that from Dr. Jill Biden. I love that story of when he first called her. She said, "How did you get this number?" And in fact, he had just gone through the tragic loss of his wife and little baby girl in a car accident. He had a really hard time in Washington, D.C., being a young senator there. And then he met her, and it really changed his life. So I'm sure you're going to hear that story tonight. You will hear the optimism of what he wants to do in the future. That is what he is about. He has always been known as an optimistic, positive leader, and I think that's what our nation needs right now.
2 more things. Bernie Sanders was appearing last night. He was making the case that his ideas are now mainstream. The president said this about Joe Biden just yesterday. Watch here.
Biden is just a Trojan horse for socialism. He is. He's a Trojan horse. He has no clue, but the people around him are tough, and they're smart, but we disagree with them very, very strongly. They're mean and they're angry.
I just want to get your reaction, Senator, to that Trojan horse comment.
Well, my first reaction is listen to the words of Meg Whitman, former business person, great business leader, Republican, endorsing Joe Biden last night. You think about the many people in the business community who are concerned about what's been happening when we don't even have a national testing standard for our country. It makes it much harder for people to go back to work, and much harder when we see a 33% annualized predicted reduction in our gross domestic product for the year. Yeah. There are a lot of business people and a lot of moderate Republicans and even some conservative Republicans and certainly independents that are very much concerned. And no, Joe Biden is not a socialist. He's someone who believes in capitalism and wants to get this economy working again.
I've got some breaking news here, but before I go there, your home state, Minnesota, I'm in Minneapolis, has seen a lot over the last 6 months. Should something have been mentioned about the rise in violent crime in American cities we're seeing over the past few months?
Well, as a former prosecutor, I'm someone that believes in public safety. I think at the same time we need reform to our police departments. I think a lot of people agree on that, and more training and better standards. And I personally think we should get rid of chokeholds and a number of other things we can do. But that doesn't mean that you don't support public safety and a police force. I do. And there's a lot of good police officers out there. And you've heard Joe Biden talk about them a lot. He's always been able to work well with police. So but wanting reform and wanting change does not mean that you're against public safety.
Senator,
it's just the opposite.
I really appreciate your time. I'm out of time for now. I hope you come back, okay? We got 75 some odd days to talk about this.
I really look forward to it, Bill.
You bet.
All
Thank you. Amy
Thank
Klobuchar there in Minnesota. Thanks.